Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome, welcome, welcome. This evening, we again come to share with you as we bring to light some very interesting facts. Um, we are thankful to be here again. It's another Monday evening, and of course, we are happy to be with you again. Time does fly. I mean, as you look around, it's going to be Christmas. It was Christmas last week. Now it's nearly Christmas again. Goodness gracious, time is really flying. And we have to be careful that we remain productive because most of our dreams and our aspirations, if we're not careful, could simply slip by and you live till you're 60, 70, 80, 150, and if we're not careful, we get nothing done in life, you see. Time is moving by so swiftly, and when the day is done, it's a matter of, it seems we have so much distraction that if we're not careful, you simply stand spellbound, get nothing done. So we have to be moving as fast as the time is moving and try to get things done as swiftly as we can because the time is not waiting for anyone, and neither will anyone be sympathetic with any of us. Um, it seems the ones that people who don't have nowadays are set to suffer a great deal, while the rich gets richer, the poor continues to get poorer. It seems the wealth is being pumped above our heads, and I say our because my people are my people. And when the day is done, if you suffer, I suffer. If you feel pain, I feel pain. That is simply how I feel about life and my people. You see, uh, we have come to a place nowadays where people don't care about. It seems none of us care. Most people seem not to care about anyone nowadays but themselves, and it's a very selfish game. Very selfish game, as many people seem to be concerned about themselves only. It's a sad place, yes, very sad place. And I think when the day is over, we need to start caring more about our brothers and sisters. If they hurt, you should hurt. If they don't have and you have, you should help them. Um, yes, children going to school, not everyone may have, and it is very sad that our level of access to resources among many families is quite limited. Yes, so for those of us who have, we need to reach out to those who don't, and I think it is time we try to extend a helping hand to our brothers and sisters. It is getting a lot tougher. It is getting a lot tougher, and it is what it is. Nothing is getting any easier. So I think there has to be, if not systems in place, it seems governments don't care about people anymore. So people have to begin to enact systems to protect themselves because governments don't care about anyone anymore. And this makes it a very sad, serious position. Um, a very serious position because it seems people are left on their own. No one seems to care anymore. So we have to look after ourselves. We have to find a way to protect ourselves. We have to find a way to provide for ourselves, um, even at a time when things seem to be becoming scarce, more scarce. Yes, you're talking about induced famine and all of that, and that's where we are. Milk is being dumped in garbage. Food is being burnt. It's what it is. Factories are being destroyed. It seems there is a reason to create a famine. And if that is the case, how do we survive? How do we prepare for it? Yes, it's a very serious matter. And I think the time has come for us to stop and think about it. We thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you who are with us, we thank you so much for joining us. It's a beautiful thing to look forward to coming here to share with you. And of course, we ask you to share this live, share with all your friends, because this evening is going to be an absolutely very interesting presentation. And we hope that you are prepared for this because it's a very Trust me, these days it's all about revelation. Some of the things I've been seeing, it's not a joke. And as I see them, I share them with you because there is someone who needs to prepare. Someone needs to prepare. This is not about taking things for granted because nothing is going to go back to normal. I keep saying this. We give thanks to the great creator as usual. This is our modus operandi here, to the streams, or for the streams of water, for the pools and the lakes, for the maize and the fruits, for the medicinal herbs and the trees, for the forest trees, for their usefulness, and for the animals that serve as food and give their pelts for clothing, for the great winds and the lesser winds as we see passing through the region, and for the thunder, for the sun, for the mighty warrior, for the moon, for the messengers of the Creator who reveals his wishes, and to the great Creator who dwells in the heavens above, who gives all the things useful to men, and who is the source and the ruler of health and life. To the great Creator and for all things we give thanks. It is an absolute honor to be here, and of course, we hope that by the end of this broadcast, you will be absolutely very informed as we continue to bring you very good information about what is coming on around us. We thank you so much for joining us, for all of you who are coming on. And continue to share. Please share with your friends, and this live to your WhatsApp list. All your friends on your WhatsApp, share, because this is going to be something that everyone needs to hear. Very serious times, and we cannot take this for granted in any shape or form. We cannot take it for granted in any shape or form. This is going to be something that we have to share seriously. We have to be strengthening one another, our brothers and sisters, along with ourselves in relation to what is coming on, because it seems that we're not getting the news. Media seem not to be talking about the things that are important, and for the things that aren't as important to us, those are the things we're seeing and hearing nowadays. And it's quite interesting, absolutely quite interesting, that this is what it is. However, PSI TV will continue to bring you the facts. We will continue to sharpen iron. As the word says, iron sharpeneth iron. We will continue to sharpen iron right here on PSI TV as we continue to bring you the latest update from across the world. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be going straight into News Buzz, which is our way of bringing to you the things that are happening across the world. We'll come back in a minute.
The Week in Review, a PSI News Buzz presentation.
And this evening on News Buzz, we have quite a lot happening across the world. And as it comes to my desk this week, we have quite a bit to share with you. And goodness gracious, our world is going from bad to worse, falling apart. Everything is seemingly falling apart. And the thing is, we need to know what is happening so we can prepare ourselves. It is that serious. If you don't know, you won't know what steps to take. And that is why it is very important for you to connect with credible sources for credible information. Not as I call it, not propaganda. We don't do propaganda here. We present the facts as they happen. And of course, we thank you so much for joining. Continue to share as we continue to ask you to subscribe to our channel. Help us to help our channel grow as you subscribe. Click the notification bell and the subscribe button, and also like our channel, that whenever we send out our notification, you will be first to get the update. This week on News Buzz, quite a bit going on, and my goodness, it is a crazy world we're seeing so much going on nowadays. And my goodness, I am a little concerned for some of our folks who are troubled at this point in relation to what is happening now. The oldest indigenous community in the Central Americas is the Maroon community, and our people in Accompong have been having some very serious issues in relation to some developments in that community. I was listening with them last night. They had a town hall meeting last night, and I was fortunate to be briefed on some of the developments within the Maroon community. This is not the other Maroons that you know of. This is the original Maroons in Jamaica, and I'm putting that in quotes because some people might get fuzzed when I speak like this. Yes, Accompong Maroons, that's the set I'm talking about, and they have spread all over the world. We see all other different developments as coming out of the same community, and that's okay for those who wish to do so. But Accompong Maroons are having a very interesting thing developing there, and I think it is interesting that I share this with you to begin. Accompong Maroons are having a very interesting time, and I think this becomes a very interesting matter to share with you. It came to my desk in the week for immediate release. It says Chief Richard Curry and Ambassador Anu L have instructed their legal team to begin defamation lawsuits against Ferron Williams, Mary DeRoe, Arthur Barrett, aka Daniel Z. Buzra. Interesting, because I know Buzzy very well. Wallace Sterling et al. If false and misleading statements are not retracted in 72 hours. Interesting. Attorney at law Charles Ganga Singh has confirmed that he has been instructed by Chief Richard Curry and Ambassador Anu Tafari Zion L to initiate legal proceedings against several Maroons for defamation of character. What the hell? The named parties, including former chief of the Cockpit Country, Ferron Williams and Mary DeRoe, as well as Arthur Barrett, Mr. Wallace Sterling, and several other Maroons who have repeatedly dragged Chief Curry and Anu L's names through the mud, accusing them of several concocted, serious, and heinous crimes with a conspiratorial and deceptive motive to irreparable damage their integrity. Goodness gracious. Among my Maroon brothers, right? This is serious stuff. On behalf of his clients, Charles Ganga Singh has categorically denounced the remarks made earlier this year, on national radio by Mr. Wallace Sterling, and Chief Richard Curry is trying to overthrow the government of Jamaica with the help of other Maroons, which has created tension between the Jamaican authorities and his clients. Is this so? I didn't know that Chief Curry was so bad. This is serious. Yes? Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is serious indeed. Wow. This is what is alleged, that Chief Richard Curry is trying to overthrow the Jamaican government with the help of other Maroons, which has created tension between the Jamaican authorities and his clan. And the Maroons, technically. This is crazy. Who could say something like that? These named individuals will first receive an official letter demanding that they all individually retract their defamatory remarks from all media platforms within 72 hours and publish an official retraction in the national papers. Share this, people. We've got some serious things coming on here tonight, not jokes. Failure to comply with the said request will result in a lawsuit being filed in the Supreme Court of Jamaica against each defendant for the clear prima facie defamation case that has manifested. It is the opinion of the Maroons of Cockpit Country that Chief Richard Curry and his administration take all legal measures to preserve the integrity of the Accompong Maroons and all the Maroons of Jamaica who have been affected by the defamatory remarks made across the media, which have reached millions of people, causing damage to the claimants. Goodness gracious. This is serious stuff happening in Maroon Town, Jamaica. This is not a joke at all. Please share, my brothers and sisters. Please share. This is serious stuff. Wow. So Chief Curry suing them for defamation of character. Wow. How could anyone say things like that? I know the Maroons. I'm very connected to them as well. Beautiful people. Very beautiful people. I have some amazing. I have an amazing relationship with my Maroon brothers and sisters, and oh my goodness, you could never find a more giving set of people, if you ask me. To hear this is absolutely very sad. I'm very saddened by this. Goodness gracious. Well, if the community is backing their chief to sue them, then so be it. And what better thing to do if that is the best thing they see to do? Yes? Now, there are a set of children on the roads, and I mentioned this last week, and I'm still bringing this to the fore because it is becoming a sore in our communities, where children are now on the road with address on pieces of paper. Let me put this on screen.
Urgent notice from the Ministry of Interior Affairs. A message from all police stations to all citizens. There are children in the streets now carrying a paper with their home address written on it and claiming that they are lost. If you see these children, do not take them to the written address because people are waiting for you there to kill you, steal your organs or rape you, so we ask that you take them to the nearest police station or the nearest emergency patrol and immediately report them. Please circulate this. The matter is real. Hand them over to the nearest police station or the nearest patrol you find. Don't try to be a hero or good Samaritan. Share this message with everyone you know.
Wow. People, unscrupulous people, are giving children an address, putting the children in the street, and they walk up to you and tell you that they are lost, they want to get home, and give you the address. You, with your kind heart, take these children back to the address as is on the paper. And if a man is watching you and want to rape you, that is where they accost you and rape you, or they want to kill you for your body parts. That's where they ambush you and kill you for your body parts. All kind of stupidness is happening. What a world we're living in. And I'm saying, I am making this public, that we are all aware of the devices that are currently among us. And it seems to me that evil forces are very much all over the place, and we must take a very strong stand to protect ourselves as a people. Do not allow yourself to be sucked into this. I mean, if you can help a child, help them. It is said, take them to the police station. The first thing you do is take them to the police station. Do not take it on yourself to take anybody to any place. Take them to the police station, the nearest patrol station or police station. Take them there, and then let the police deal with it from there. It is that serious. Don't take it on yourself, because you could hurt yourself. Goodness gracious. And also in News Buzz this evening, more countries are actually planning to become republics. More Caribbean countries to become republic states. Antigua and Barbuda will vote on whether to become a republic following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen's Prime Minister has said, the country's Prime Minister has said a referendum could take place, or he said a referendum would take place within 3 years, but emphasized that the move was not an act of hostility. In addition to the UK, King Charles serves as head of state in 14 countries, including Antigua and Barbuda, Australia, the Bahamas, Belize, Canada, Grenada, Jamaica, the New Zealand's, Papua New Guinea, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Solomon Island and Tuvalu. Jamaica is also looking at removing itself from under British rule, and that was said by the ruling Labour Party, which is quite interesting. So all these, now that the Queen has died, many more countries are now looking at become republic states, and they're now removing themselves from under Britain. Quite interesting as well. That Jamaica and Antigua are now looking at removing themselves from the Commonwealth. Quite interesting. The Queen is now dead, and of course, for the sake of the family, we extend our condolences. But I was told that many people are technically mourning the loss of the Queen. Africa is not having it. Africa is not having it. Let me play you a clip out of Africa, because Africa is not prepared to mourn at all. I found this very interesting. Listen to this.
It will be wrong of me to leave this mic without saying to Britain and everybody else who care, we do not mourn the death of a colonizer and a murderer who came and killed our people, and she's wearing proudly a stolen goods on her head. We have nothing to do with the Queen. Lele bolaileng batho ba rena ba utswa di minerale tsa mo Africa, ba utswa di minerale tsa all over Africa. Today people tweet, hey we mourn the Queen. But when Helen Zille tweeted and said that not everything is bad about colonialism, you all said Helen Zille is a racist. How can she praise colonialism? By mourning and praising the Queen, you are celebrating colonialism. We were not colonized by the land called Britain. We were colonized by the leadership of Britain that killed our people. So we must not be asked to do wrong things here. We are very clear. The Queen does not represent anything good. Britain has got a lot of gold, yet they don't have a single mine of gold. Those are stolen goods. We must talk about reparation. We must talk about the return of the gold. We must talk about the return of the stolen diamond, and not these other side issues which are not important to us. How can you be oppressed for so many years? After liberation, you've got nothing to show that we have been liberated. You have no land, you have got no bank, you've got no mine. The only thing you have is a hatred of other Africans. It was this Queen who gave us surnames, by the way. This Britain, we did not have surnames. We were calling each other the surnames and the addresses. We did not have an address because they move up from year to year according to the season. So today we are given address, we are given borders, we are given surnames because we must be controlled by a certain nation which we must celebrate.
Wow. Wow, wow. Wow. I guess Africa has been so hurt, like most other, I'm getting the same sentiment across the Central Americas from many of the Caribbean countries in very similar tone. And it is quite sad that, wow, even in death, many people are still not Many people cannot, well, it's not even mourning the death per se, but to look at what good, if any, which came out of all of this. It's very sad to know that Africa especially has nothing to say that is even classic about this. I find it very interesting. Wow, what can I say? Finally, on News Buzz, we have been always talking about, you look at Christianity for what it is worth, and you look at the I call it the religious rituals which have come out of this whole matter of Christianity. Now, when you look at what is happening, there's a very serious development happening where the LGBTQ community is having a very serious problem with people quoting scripture in relation to what they do. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, Steve, it's pretty shocking. This is a story that is one of the most troubling stories that you haven't heard of, meaning the average American hasn't heard of. You've got a member of parliament in Finland who literally just tweeted out a Bible verse, scripture from the book of Romans from the Bible, talking about the issue of LGBTQ type issues in Finland. And now she's facing charges, facing 2 years of jail time. A bishop then echoed that sentiment, and this bishop is similarly facing up to 2 years of jail time. Now, people can disagree about issues,
right,
but if you're talking about putting people in jail for quoting the Bible, and then the prosecutor said that the Bible can't, quote, trump Finnish law, the prosecutor said, don't worry, you can keep your Bibles, but you know what? You just can't say you agree with it. This is a really chilling reality in a Western civilization country. This isn't Iran. This isn't China. This is Finland. And the American people need to know this is coming to a theater near you, and it's coming to you in the form of the Equality Act, which is why I opposed it, because that would similarly start to criminalize the way that we approach our disagreements on issues when they're based on our faith. And I know Tony has spoken eloquently about this before.
And Tony, you say the Bible essentially is on trial.
It is. Steve, faith is at the stake. The Bible is on trial. The outcome of Pave and Johanna's case could literally criminalize the Christian faith and free speech. Now, this case, as Chip said, is a warning to the Western world that, quite frankly, has been asleep in the pew. And this is not about some theologically remote part of Scripture. The prosecution, as you played in the intro of this, made clear that this is about the heart of the gospel. The use of the word sin, they said, can be harmful and therefore illegal. And this, of course, is the core teaching of the gospel, that we're all sinners and we need a Savior, and that Savior is Jesus Christ.
And Tony, can you imagine if these people are convicted for simply citing the Bible?
It's chilling. It is absolutely chilling, and I think it's a harbinger of things to come if we don't stop this nonsense, this ideological drive to purge any form of really the foundation of Western civilization, which is Christianity.
Sure. Chip, I'll give you the final word.
Yeah, Steve, look, I mean, Holocaust survivors teach us a lot. And Elie Wiesel said that the worst crime that was committed leading up to the Holocaust was silence. We cannot be silent in the face of this. And God bless Pivey, God bless Bishop Pohjola for standing up for their freedoms. Guess what? The prosecutors offered them a deal. Walk away from what you said. Walk away from your faith. Walk away from your Christian faith and recant what you said, and we won't prosecute you. They didn't do it because they're standing up for their beliefs. Americans, this is coming to you. Let's stand with these brave Finnish patriots and make sure that we're fighting for our religious liberty.
Congressman Tony, thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. Important story.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Wow. Wow. So the days are finally here for those of us who are Christian-minded people. And the bad thing is this. Whatever happens anyplace else in the world, as long as it hits America, it is everywhere. And this is something we need to be very wide-eyed about. Nothing that is happening here is abstract. It is just a matter before the same laws are passed. As a matter of fact, it was recently, a week or two ago, there was a gay marriage within the BVI. I think it was Necker Island. Yes? I heard BVI landers raising literal hell. That can't happen in full territory. Can't happen here. Oh, can't happen. Well, there was a there was a gay wedding in the BVI in recent days. So my question is this: if people think the world is going to remain how it is to suit them, then we're having a serious problem. The governor has a tight grip on the BVI right now. Even when Prince Charles told all overseas territories that they're free to pull out from under the Commonwealth. Now that the Queen is dead, other countries are pulling out, but there's a grip on the BVI, like a chokehold. And I'm watching it very closely because it seems to me that whether it is about good governance or whatever the hell the COI is about, is it that the BVI is a special little place that Britain would prefer to keep? Thus, with all the things that are happening right now, Britain would prefer to keep it very close to its heart. Is this what is happening in the BVI? A very serious matter. We have a bunch of young people here in the BVI, young people in government. The poor thing them can't even scratch their butt properly. I say this with all respect for them, because the British governor is an expert at law. This man is a seasoned administrator. You're talking about the Honorable Higginbottom, who is the head of the COI. They're all working together to make sure that whatever needs to be executed here is going to be done. And most of the laws or the things, well, for want of a better word, that BVI landers have been holding on to for years will now be thrown into the garbage. It is simple. Britain is now revamping everything within the territory that BVI landers thought was dear to their heart, including preventing gay marriages from coming into the territory. Now, if the LGBTQ community is proving to the world that they need to be respected as a people, and they're human beings, whatever their choices are, they need to be respected. I don't have a problem with LGBTQ people doing what they need to do if that is what they want to do. It's their business. But the BVI is now faced with the reality that after holding up such strong Christian values, and this is where the world is. We talk about Sodom and Gomorrah all the time and all of these things. Well, for those of you who are sleeping, wake the hell up. Because the world is a different place. Everything that you hold to be right is now wrong, and everything that you think was wrong is now right. This is where we are in the world, and all the values that Christian-minded people have upheld over the years are now being thrown into the garbage pile. This is the world we live in. Welcome. Just saying. So these people are now in jail. Well, they face up to 2 years jail time for simply quoting a scripture against the LGBT community. Not a joke. This is nothing to laugh about, because it is coming to a theater near you. Very simple matter. So for those of us who are stuck in our ways, and especially those of us in the British Virgin Islands and other overseas territories who are not too keen on what is happening outside your little spaces, wake the hell up. It will be happening, and there's nothing you can do about it. Wake up. Back in a minute.
The Week in Review, a PSI News Buzz presentation.
You can change your life with a better plan from Lifeline Financial Programs. Life is not a dream. You only get what you put in. We know you cannot do it alone. And this is why Lifeline Financial Programs created the best financial plans to help you transform your life. Guaranteed. Call us now at 540-4555 or email us at lifelinebdilimited@gmail.com for more information.
Lifeline Financial Programs, the gateway to a better future.
Welcome to all our friends. Welcome to all our brothers and sisters wherever in the world you are. And when the day is over, we thank you so much for joining us. Cephas, Manners, is it Cephas? Yes. Anguilla in the house, Carlton Pickering. Greetings, my brother. And my brother in Cephas, world is in hell as man shows it. That's what it is. Coming soon for him, elected sack. Raymond? My goodness gracious. It is what the world is, and it's not a joke at all. Let me welcome all my friends here. And please share this. Share. Share it on your Facebook page. Share it on your WhatsApp list. Share it everywhere, because we're going to be touching on some stuff this evening that is going to literally blow your pants off. As usual, this is what we do right here on The Raw Truth. Now, our topic this evening has to do with the fact that I've been taking a very serious look at what has been happening across the world. And you're talking about a pandemic. You're talking about the developments across the world in relation to disease. There is a far greater problem that most of us are not aware of. And it is the most dangerous thing that is happening around us right now. And we are missing it bad. I wanted to share this with everybody you know, because everyone needs to hear this. It is a very serious game. And when the day is over, I don't think most of us are even ready to deal with it. It is a serious game. And when the day is done, a lot of us could end up dead and don't even know how or when you're dead. End up dead and don't even know how you get dead or get killed. Wake up dead, right? World War I. Millions of people. World War II. Plagues. Spanish flu. I could go on and on with the destructive agents or elements which have destroyed the lives of millions of people across the world since the 14th century. Now we're moving into 2023, moving into the 21st, 22nd century. That's where we are. And we're not only threatened by World War III, but we're also threatened by other elements of society which are just about ready to eat us alive. And we're not even aware as to what is happening. Right now, there is millions of deaths even. Children dropping down, everybody else dropping down, and all you hear is that people are dying from sudden adult death syndrome. Sudden adult death syndrome. That is what people are falling down dead from right now. In other words, if you should ask them what is the cause of death, they will tell you the cause of death is unknown. In the 21st century, where we have all the technologies available to diagnose anything in the world we want to diagnose. But the cause of death for millions of people dropping dead is cause unknown. They don't know what is killing them. But there's a bigger problem. It is not for alcohol or drugs or famine or cold or whatever else that might happen among men or among man. That is setting up to become the biggest pandemic the world has ever seen. I have been very careful to think this through carefully. I've been doing my research. And when the day is done, my beloved people, it is yet to be made clear to us exactly what has been happening around us. Everywhere you go today, there is a supermarket. And many people are currently locked into these little places because when the day is done, people stop farming. And even if you have a little farm up someplace in any community, they're not farming extensively anymore because people either too stush because the nail is too long, or they don't have the time, or whatever else that is happening that is preventing people from getting dirty to produce good food. Now, you look in places like the British Virgin Islands, it's like a rock popping out of the water. A rock. Because there's not, while you might be able to plant someplace within the territory, there's not much farmland here. And the climate, again, makes it very difficult to plant. But at the same time, we could do greenhouses and prepare an area for food production within the territory. I think there was one such in Seacoast Bay at some point, but it was torn down. No, stupid politicians did not see the need for a greenhouse. Share this. I wanted to share this. Share. If you're new here, please click the subscribe button. Yes? Stupid politicians did not see the need for a greenhouse in the BVI, and they ripped it down. That greenhouse could have been providing for the territory, which has no means of producing for itself, seasonal crops, short to medium term crops. Under those greenhouses, if somebody had a little common sense to think about food security for this territory. I heard the Honorable Wheatley, our current premier, talking about getting into ganja production. Of course, that was the talk earlier. While the people of the BVI currently suffer for the lack of food. Now, rather than getting into the ganja business, which that is one thing, or planting food that is going to be a means of sustenance for the people, which is best? You can't eat ganja for sure. Everybody smoke and get high, and then when you're done, you chop up everybody and kill everybody because you're hungry, right? And broke people's house and thief people food and all kind of stupidness. When you're hungry, you're hungry. Yes? Yes. And there's no plan for food security within this territory. While you look outside across the waters in other lands, and everybody, if factories not mashing up, crops are being destroyed. Right now, they're paying people to stop farming. Technically, it is what it is. Now, how will this little place survive if ships, if Kestrel lines and whichever other shipping line stop coming to the territory with food? How would they manage? How will they manage? if these shipping lines stop coming? How will Anguilla manage if ships stop coming over there and no farming is there? How will any other smaller lands manage who are not farming in an extensive way to supply their need? How will they manage? But that is not the only problem. You look at what is happening in the medical fraternity. And as far as I can see, there is a lot of the doctors are everywhere. And the problem I'm having is the fact that people are currently getting sick by the minute. They don't know what is happening to them. They go to the doctor, they're feeling pain, they get a pain tablet, you go back home because doctors say, okay, fine, what you're feeling, pain, fine. You get a pain tablet, you go back home. Because many doctors don't even know what the hell is happening to people. Doctors' offices are filled with people. The hospitals are running over because they can't hold people anymore. And it is not a pandemic. The pandemic is done. And I probably should show you this as well. I bumped into this, and I think I need to share it with you because it is. I saw this. I saw this article, and I thought it is something I would share with you. The President Biden made it clear in a television interview that he said we still have problems with COVID. The president said we are still doing a lot of work on it, but the pandemic is over. President Biden is telling people that the pandemic is over. After more than 1 million deaths in the United States and almost 3 years of lockdowns and economic disruptions, President Joe Biden declared that the pandemic is over. Now let me pause there for a minute. Now that that is done, according to President Joe Biden and the CDC, if hospitals are full, technically, a lot of people will end up in the hospital. There is one sinister enemy we have. And many people are not realizing it. You go to the hospital, they send you out, you go home, you're still sick. You go to the doctor's office, it's full. You spend all the money you have at the doctor's. Still can't get better. You get a pill, it ease the pain up or whatever, you go, you come back next week, same thing. What is happening where we are concerned? While you have one set of problems on one hand, which I don't care to touch, there's another dragon on the other hand that is eating us alive. We are creating our own pandemic as a people, and we are not even aware of what we're doing. I talk about food production all the time, but we are not getting it. I talk about sowing seeds in your backyard, but we're not getting it. I've been always saying it here. Plant something in your backyard because when the day is done, you're going to need it. Most of us not listening because we can run to the shop or the supermarket and pick up what we need. Okay. Well, guess what is happening? I'm going to play part 1 of this video for you. And it's about 4 minutes. But I think it is prime information that we all need to know. I'm going to play the first clip. Don't touch your dial. Stay right there because it gets a lot more interesting. There's a lot coming tonight. Watch this.
There are several thousand different food chemicals used in our food supply. And while it would take a pretty long time to discuss all of them, in this video, I'm going to focus on the worst 6. One of the most dangerous food chemicals is aspartame. This is an artificial sweetener that was actually somewhat discovered by accident. Aspartame is single-handedly responsible for 75% of the adverse food reactions reported to the FDA. So you're primarily going to find artificial sweeteners in your diet beverages, sugar-free beverages, but you'll also start finding, if you start looking at food labels, that there are more and more products that contain artificial sweeteners. It's not just those diet and sugar-free foods. So I actually use this app in my phone called Eat What. And it is a directory of all of these different food additives. And then you can also use it to scan a food label. And it's going to tell you which of the dangerous or toxic ingredients it contains. Let's go ahead and move on to the second one. This one is artificial colors like red 40 and yellow number 5. One thing that most people don't realize about artificial colors is that most of them are actually made from coal tar. That means that these are petroleum products. Okay, and in my opinion, things that are made from petroleum are not things that I want in my diet. So red 40, we would find red 40 in the bright red Powerade. It's also in the Kool-Aid, marketed to kids. It's also in the Pop Rocks, marketed to kids. It's also in the Fruit Loops. Red 40, if we were to look inside the Eat What app, may cause allergies, may intensify asthma symptoms. When combined with benzoates, which is a really common preservative we're going to talk about in a minute, it's known to cause hyperactivity in children. It's believed that carcinogenic products may be produced when it's decomposed. If we look at yellow number 5, that would be a whole other discussion. But the bottom line here is that these artificial colors, number 1, come from something which, in my opinion, is not edible in the first place. But the bottom line is that pretty much all of your processed foods are going to contain artificial colors of some kind. There's also one known as titanium dioxide, and it's even found in this coffee creamer. So titanium dioxide is often used to make things look whiter. Titanium dioxide is a chemical that's actually been banned in certain countries. So our next harmful food chemical is MSG, or monosodium glutamate. Now, one of the most notable things about MSG is that it's used to create obesity and diabetes in laboratory animals. This one really borders on absolute cruelty, because now they are purposefully giving diabetes to these rats, purposefully making them obese. And what do they use to do it, guys, but MSG? So what do we think it's going to have in terms of effects on us when we eat it? But you also need to be aware that MSG has a lot of pseudonyms. So when you see yeast extract, textured vegetable protein, autolyzed yeast extract, or sodium caseinate, these are all other names for MSG. MSG is technically a naturally occurring substance found in things like meats and cheeses. But what makes the natural present MSG so different from the monosodium glutamate that is added to foods is that when it's present in its natural amounts, the way that it normally comes in a food, it's in a form and an amount that the body is able to break down and use. And while it still gives that pleasurable effect, it's not going to have those adverse reactions associated with basically consuming extremely high doses of isolated glutamic acid. Now, your barbecue flavored foods, your meat flavored foods, so anything that is a processed food that is made to taste like meat, just know that they often are adding MSG to those types of foods to kind of accentuate that flavor.
All right. What pandemic are we creating? That is part one of the video. The pandemic we are creating is a pandemic of the poisoning of our bodies with chemicals in our food. That is the pandemic we're creating. It will blow your mind to smithereens when you realize over time the things you are eating in the food that you swallow, you put in your mouth and swallow it, the damage it is doing to your body. It will blow your minds when you realize it. That is the pandemic we're creating. We are eating ourselves to death, my people. We are eating ourselves to death. You look at what is happening. Listen, the best food that you could ever have is not coming on your supermarket shelf. They will never send it to your supermarket shelf. The riffraff goes down the lane, and the best foods and fruits and all the rest of it goes uptown. You get what I'm saying? You will never see the best apples or the best plums. You will never see them. You will never get the best of anything down the street. It is a fact that the Caribbean region, many prime ministers were complaining that the Caribbean region seems to be a dumping ground for the garbage which comes out of many of these so-called first world countries. And our people are so ignorant of the fact we're gobbling up the poisons. When you look at some of the toxins that are used to produce some of these things, it would make a dead rooster crow. That's what is destroying us. Many of the illnesses that we are seeing in our hospitals, in our doctors' offices, are food-induced illnesses. Food-induced illnesses. We are eating ourselves to death, my people. And there's one way to save ourselves from that. I will get down there in a minute. You walk into doctors' offices nowadays, and I had my own experience up to recently. You walk into a doctor's office, and doctors will tell you what they think is wrong with you. It sound like, or it look like, say, is this or that. They prescribe you a tablet or two for what they think you're suffering from. And I must be thankful for people who are still deep into holistic treatment. I need to say this because our ancestors, they know every bush in the field, every bush, they know them. They went to the doctors, yes. They got tested to find out what was wrong with them, yes. But the treatment was holistic. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is going to go grab bush and eat it, because when it is done, you don't know what the hell you eat and you poison yourself. The doctors are there to help you, right? And sometimes you will need to be diagnosed and treated. Yes, that's their job. But doctors are also saying now, I have a doctor on file who is saying that they only treat the symptoms. Basically, it's what you tell them happening, to find something to get rid of that, and that is how they treat you. It is not about what is causing the problem, because many times you see people dying now from causes unknown. That's what it is. Cause unknown. This is not a joke at all. And that's what it is. Your ears ringing, your head spinning, your whatever is going on. They think it is whatever it is. But then you look at what we've been eating. And when you assess the cause of the issues we're having, you realize that what the doctors think they're dealing with is way outside their scope, unless they are really, truly experienced in these areas and are prepared with the machinery necessary to diagnose these things. It is not a joke. And these are the problems we're having. And a lot of people are sick, going to the hospital, going to the doctor's office. A lot of people sick as hell right now. I was told that a certain hospital is full. They have to be turning away people from they can't admit anybody because the hospital is full. Full. Lot of elderly people. And whoever else is there. Hospital full. If you got a sick and you have to be admitted, there's no bed to put you on. Right? And then you look at the things they feed these sick people on. Ensure, and all of these things that some of you have been drinking, all of these things that you've been drinking. If you ever look on the label, if you give a rat a teaspoon of that, it poison him on the spot. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, goodness gracious. All my friends who are commenting, I'm seeing your comments. I thank you so much for your comments. Yes? The things they're giving you, telling you that it is nutrition. If you ever look on the label of these things that you're eating, that they're feeding you on, you give a rat 1 teaspoon of that, it poison it. Literally poison it. I saw a video this morning. I probably should play it for you. I'm not here to take down anybody's brand. I have to be careful that people don't get the wrong impression that they're trying to destroy a brand. But when you look at the label of some of these foods that are on the shelf that you're buying, you give a rat a teaspoon of it, it poison them, literally poison them. We must stop, my people, to save ourselves. Food is now a weapon. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Food is now a weapon. They don't have to hold a gun to your head anymore. They feed you. And any man who depends on another man to feed him is a slave to that man. And if you're dependent on another source to feed you, your life is worth squat, period. Your life is worth squat. Because you're at the mercy of another. It's a very dangerous position. The Caribbean region is having a serious problem. Because everything that comes out of the big A or the big C or the big L or wherever else it comes from falls on the supermarket shelf. And the silly people within the Caribbean region, with all the lands we have in our backyard to plant the fresh vegetables and fruits. I was told that down Jamaica right now, you go down the fruits dropping off the trees down there. Dropping off the trees in different areas. And people would rather to run to the supermarket to pick up a bottle of processed stuff to drink it, with aspartame and all the crap that you could find in all of these things that are designed to punch a holes in your liver. They would rather run it to get a bottle of drink to drink it rather than pick up 2 June plums and blend it to make juice. They would rather go buy the bottle of juice and drink it. That's how silly we have become as a people. And the doctors are waiting. They say, oh, yeah, go on, you go ahead, eat yourself to death. And when you're done, then you come to us, then they charge you $1 million and send you home. That's simply what it is. But we're too stupid to figure it out. That is our problem. In the abundance of knowledge, the fool perish. We cannot allow ourselves to be poisoned, my brothers and sisters, because the foods we are eating are poisoning us. I'm going to take a short break, and when I come back, I'm going to play you part 2 of that video, and it is going to blow your mind. I'm not here to frighten anybody, but we are eating ourselves to death. Not a joke. I come back in a minute. Ooh, wow. Wow. Welcome back, and you're live right here on The Raw Truth. I'm Kenny G, and of course, we thank you so much for joining us. To all our friends who are commenting in the chat, your comments are absolutely, your comments are actually very important to us, and it's very good to hear what you have to say as well. It's very, very important for us to hear your comments. If you're just joining us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please click the subscribe button and click the like button. And yes, make sure that you're connected, because whenever we send out our notification, we want to make sure that you're the first to know. Our friends in Anguilla, thank you so much for joining us. Our friends in the BVI, our friends in London, our friends in America, Canada, Williams in Canada, I know you're watching. Thank you so much for joining us. And as usual, all our friends across the world, Jamaica, all our friends across the Caribbean region, and whoever I'm leaving out from, wherever else you're watching from, we thank you so much for joining us. Our food is now laced with a myriad of poisons, toxins that are used on the construction site now end up in our food. You look at some of these, not cornflakes. You look at some of these other confectionery, we call them, on the shelves. You look at some of these foods, and if you check some of the ingredients in some of these things are used on construction site. Maybe somebody just say, "Oh, I wonder how this would taste in the food," and toss in a little and check it. Well, maybe they wouldn't even taste it because they know it's harmful. They probably make some rat eat it or something, and if the rat don't die, then they say, "Okay, fine, we could sell it." Construction material, chemicals on the construction site are now ending up in our foods. Somebody just toss it in there. And because most of us don't read these chemicals, including myself sometimes, and I'm so aware of it now that I wouldn't even buy a pack of gum, because all of them are laced with even human fetus, fecal material, or fetus of the baby. Aborted children are ending up in our foods. Aborted babies. It's a booming industry. Don't ask me the name they call it when they put it in the food. But we are now cannibalizing ourselves as men and women, because we're eating ourselves. We're eating our own people. We're eating the food, the blood of our offspring. Some ingenious people are putting aborted fetal material, aborted fetus, into the foods we're eating. I'm not here to scare anyone. I'm here to help you to understand the truth. This is welcome to the raw truth. Bugs. Some bugs look like, when you crush them and you crush the bugs, and the color you get when you crush them, toss that into people. It is just so much stupidness I've been seeing. It would blow your mind. I have some stuff here I can't show you because it will actually have you not, probably some of you would never go back into a supermarket. And maybe you shouldn't. Bugs are crushed for coloring to throw into the food that you eat. Bugs. They're feeding us with anything they catch. Anything they catch, they throw it in the food. And people are gobbling it down because it tastes nice. They say it enhances flavor. And it is passed by the authorities as normal for you to eat. And some of the things would make you vomit, literally vomit. Do me a favor. Our forefathers, I'm stopping short of really upsetting somebody because I know some of us, stomach including mine, is easy to get sick. But our forefathers normally plant the food they eat. They live to see 90, 95, 100, 110, 120, 150 years old. From the land. No one ever, they weren't sick to go to the doctor like I see people sick nowadays to go to the doctor. Get back to the ground. Get back to the land. Please get back to, the only way you are going to save yourself is to get back to the land. You cannot live off the supermarket shelf because all that are placed on these shelves will be there this year, next year, and the other year if you're not careful, and it will not spoil because the preservatives in them are unhealthy for us to consume. And if we keep eating these things, we are killing not just ourselves, but our families are dying slowly as well, and all pertaining to us who eat as we eat. You talk about high blood pressure. They say diabetes is hereditary, is it? Or heart disease is hereditary. It is because people in the same family eat the same food. Let's think for 1 minute. We haven't been thinking. If you're in the same house, how is it that diabetes can be hereditary when everybody in the house eat the same food? Is the food causing it? If you have heart disease, they tell you that heart disease is hereditary, but everybody in the same house eat the same food. It affects some before it affects the others, but it's the same house. Think about it. If you change your diet, you will never suffer from some of the things that some people suffer from because you eat differently. Let us think. We haven't been thinking it through, and this is the problem we're having. No disease is hereditary. It is how you eat. If you eat properly, you will remain healthy. If you do not eat well, you will become sick. Brothers and sisters, let us do the right things for ourselves. Start planting our own vegetables. Most of these vegetables you buy wherever you buy them from, most of these were sprayed. You go in the supermarket, you see them looking fresh. They were sprayed. The pesticide or the preservatives on them were put there to keep them fresh. These are dangerous for us. And we are now creating a new pandemic that is going to be killing us all. We cannot afford to kill ourselves. Now let me play part 2 of this video. Watch this.
Partially hydrogenated oils, or trans fats. Partial hydrogenation is a process done to liquid oils to help them be more solid. So things like margarine and Crisco are really great examples of partially hydrogenated oils. Now, trans fats have been found to be the most harmful dietary fat in terms of raising your LDL or bad cholesterol, in terms of increasing your risk of blood clots, metabolic syndrome, heart disease. There are so many different problems associated with these trans fats that the FDA actually started requiring for brands to include the trans fat content on the label. But as you might expect, it's not enough to just trust them to tell you whether or not there are trans fats in the food. If you really want to know, you actually need to check that ingredient label yourself. So just looking at a couple of these foods, any of your fat-free or reduced fat foods are generally going to be a prime spot for partially hydrogenated oils, because now they're looking for ways to substitute that fat, or to make you kind of feel like you're still eating fat when you eat it, but they can't actually put as much fat in there because it's reduced. So avoiding partially hydrogenated oils, super important. Mono and diglycerides is another kind of name that you'll see on the label, which you need to associate with trans fats. Next up is sodium benzoate, and it's got the little red exclamation point to it, saying that there are some health concerns associated with it. When we're in a situation where these ingredients are found in thousands of different foods, suddenly you're not only completely unable to know how much of any of these things you're actually ingesting, but there's also a really good likelihood that you're taking in way more than that recommended dose. So, sodium benzoate, this is a product of benzene, which is a known carcinogen. Another thing to consider here with these artificial preservatives is that if they are engineered to preserve the food, what do you think happens when you eat them? Do they get broken down and excreted from the body the way that a food is supposed to? Or do they actually break down and have really negative components? Some of these different food additives, when they break down, they actually create formaldehyde, which is embalming fluid. So just consider that a lot of these different health effects associated with these food chemicals are partially just that they prevent your body from being able to do all of the different functions that it should do. Detoxifying is a big one, right? Because if your body can't get rid of these chemicals and they just sit in your fat cells or sit in various parts of your body having these negative effects, this is a really big problem. So sodium benzoate is a really harmful preservative, again, a really, really increasingly common one. So if you were to actually use your little ingredient scanner, you would start seeing that things like sodium benzoate are in almost every processed food in the grocery store. Last but certainly not least is butylated hydroxyanisole, also known as BHA. There is another very similar chemical known as butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHT. Both of these are synthetic antioxidants. They're typically used as preservatives. So what's really funny is that when you see them on the food label, it actually says BHA for freshness, or BHT for freshness. You'll see it on your chewing gum, see it in your candies. You'll start seeing it everywhere if you look. Together with vitamin C, it may produce free radicals that damage components as well as the DNA. This is a reason why BHA usage has been reduced in the EU. After application of BHA to laboratory pets, duodenal ulcers were detected. Consumption in large amounts can result in liver dysfunction. The take-home message for me after years of reading ingredient labels has just been to try and avoid processed foods altogether.
Now, it is very interesting to examine this, because when the day is done, have you ever seen labels which says, the labels say, for export purposes only. Have you ever seen those labels? For export purposes only. Which means the food that you see the sign on, which says, or the label on, which says for export purposes only, that food is not consumed within the country it was created. They send it out. Then there's a purpose for that. Did you know that food are genetically modified to the point where, and there's another technology that they're using, where the chemicals within the food can actually latch on to your genes to modify you? Did you know that? Did you know that you can have racial targeting through food? In other words, the food the black man eats can affect him differently, and I put black in quotes here, or the melanated man, to be safe. The food that the melanated man eats, under the same condition as the Caucasian man or the Indian man, can affect each differently by race. Did you know that? I have a guest in here, and it's a pity that she wasn't in before, because I was here watching my screen and she was off. I'm not sure if she was even available. My goodness. Let me bring her in. Greetings, my beloved Empress.
Greetings, King. It is an honor to be here to share information. The information that you've been giving so far is very informative. So I hope that persons have been taking note, because these are things that are going to drastically change the lives of many people to come. Again, we're watching so many people who are dying suddenly, and most of them feel quite helpless when they get to a doctor's office.
And these are the things we have to guard against. And my beloved sister, I just to say a little, because I want to keep it safe, because you are who you are. But I think it is becoming a very grave concern that we have been eating ourselves to death and people hardly even know it. We're creating a whole pandemic all by ourselves. And when the day is done, people don't even realize that we're eating ourselves to death. It is a critically serious matter.
It is a very serious matter. You even have things as simple as persons who are saying that they are living a healthy lifestyle, they are going to the gym, and they are using things like protein powder. I'm not sure if persons are aware. I will share a video with you a little later, or probably after I get off the live, where it's showing how protein powder is made, and it's actually from maggots.
Yes.
They're dried, they're grinded down to a powder, and this is what persons pick off the shelf. They take a scoop, they throw it in milk, and they're told to drink this as they are, doing their exercises, and that it's quite great for them.
Maggots.
Oh yeah, maggots. Yes. A lot of persons who have taken protein powder before will tell you of the effects it had when they stopped taking it. And half the times when you go to these health food stores and you ask them questions as to what's in the protein powder, what type of protein it has, they tell you, I don't know. That has happened right here in the BVI. I make a point of sometimes going into the health food stores and acting completely dumb. And I pick things off and tell them, well, what should I use this for? What is this? What's in it? Half of the persons who are selling it don't know what it is.
Don't have a clue. You're right. You're
Don't have
absolutely
a
so right.
clue. They're selling these things to people and they're poisoning person systems. And these are the people who, unfortunately, a lot of people go to as alternatives to going to the doctors who are giving orthodox medicine, which is rapidly killing a lot of people more than before.
Wow.
Then you have persons who go to the doctor. 90% of the doctors, or should I say 98% of the doctors here, they get blood work done from individuals, and they basically just screen through it. And I guess in the back of their mind, they kind of look to see how much more money can I make from this poor individual who has walked into my place and has very little to sometimes no idea what they're actually going through. And most of them, I'm not sure if persons have, well, most persons who I've seen have that experience where they would go to a doctor, get blood work, and the doctors would not even explain what exactly is transpiring in that person's body. The levels are right there. Those parts of their blood work that may be on the high mark, others on the low mark, and they would just say, "Oh, everything's fine. Let's just give you this medication. That medication, if it doesn't work, come back in 3 weeks." They know that they are not treating what you actually came for. And sure enough, you'll be back most times before the 3 weeks. Then they kind of bombard you with more medication. And over a long period of time, you find a lot of persons suffering from different side effects, whether it be liver damage, kidney damage. You find persons who, have all kinds of different issues with their bodies that they didn't walk into the doctor's office in the beginning with. Um, I'm happy that you touched on food because it seems to be the number one killer now. Right now, you don't eat to live, you actually eat to die, which is a very sad situation. Um, can you hear me?
Yes, 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 for sure.
Okay. All right. So majority of the foods now, 90% of the foods that persons eat are highly, highly toxic.
I agree.
You find that persons, and I've had several persons who've come to me and say, "Doc, I eat well, I eat healthy, I eat more vegetables, and I eat this and whatnot." And I would tell them, where's your source of vegetables coming from? Where's your source of fruits coming from? And they would tell me, "Oh, well, I buy it by, this supermarket or that supermarket." And I would tell them, okay. And I would look at their blood work and I would tell them, "Tell me what should be different on your blood work if you're eating so healthy. Look at your markers. This is not supposed to show these things here. Your body's going through a massive fight, and whatever you're putting into your stomach is not helping." Um, Unbeknown to a lot of people, the reason why when you eat and you eat badly, it makes you so ill is because your stomach is the most important chamber where the food is first received, and it will determine the momentum or the health balance for the rest of the organs that is going to distribute whatever it is that you put into your stomach. Um, and a lot of times, again, persons pick things off the shelf. It says, zero preservatives, but it's on a shelf. Anything that is natural is not supposed to be on a shelf with an expiration date.
Yes.
If you get a mango or you get a banana that is quite organic, these things will actually go bad in a few days. If
Yes.
you have, yes, so when you have things like on a shelf, like for instance, persons would say they would buy things like guacamole, and they would say guacamole is healthy. But if you get a avocado and you actually make it yourself, you have to make sure that you have that in a couple, probably hours or days, because that will go bad very quickly. You won't have it for that long because
Right.
there were zero preservatives in that avocado. But these things have a lot of shelf life. So that again makes these things very dangerous. Um, the other cases that I'm seeing here are persons who have been going to doctors for a long period of time. They would go in with a problem, tell the doctor what the problem is, and that doctor would have been giving that person medication for years. And then years after, that person would come out with a tumor, diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney damage. And that person has not been somewhere neglecting to see a doctor. They have been in that doctor's hands for months, years. And then they end up with these situations. Again, the medication that are being given to persons are not meant to heal anything. Because if any doctor on the face of the planet heals you, it is not good for him, because that's the last person that would walk through his door, and he needs to actually live off his commissions. And the less people who come, the less money he makes. So it's not in his benefit to actually tell you, the things that you have to do to stop coming to see him. That's the difference between persons of holistic and natural therapy versus persons who are in the system, who are doctors and so forth. And I've challenged a few doctors. I'm not very liked, which is okay. As long as persons get to live a long life, that is enough for me. And I'm happy that you also mentioned things like type 2 diabetes and persons with high blood pressure, which they would tell persons, oh, it's hereditary, it runs in your family. Again, high blood pressure is not hereditary, there is no such thing. Type 2 diabetes is not hereditary, there is no such thing. If whatever it is that you feed your body off of is going to determine what your body's organs are going to respond to. Now, if you are eating a whole bunch of processed foods with all these different things, and I'm happy that you showed that clip, so I don't have to go through the whole process again, it makes it much easier for me. Plus, you have high contents of sodium directly being deposited into your system. Of course, it's going to affect your heart rate. Of course, it's going to affect your pulse rate. Of course, it's going to give your heart more work to do. Of course, your liver is going to be placed under more pressure to extract toxins that they should not be dealing with. Of course, your kidney is going to go through way more problems in terms of trying to flush as much of that junk out that you're putting in. So these things will naturally occur. There are persons right here in the BVI who have been diagnosed with diabetes, who have been told they would be on metformin and this other dangerous one for long periods of time. These persons, and I must mention this, persons have been taking metformin and other diabetic medication for years. None of these medications have seen a single person diabetic free. Not a single one. As a matter of fact, it gets worse. From taking these long term, two things happen. One, it begins to affect your cardiovascular system because it's now damaging your kidney, and so your cardiovascular system is going crazy. And then two, you're going to end up on dialysis at some point in time, which is the cause of so many deaths now in the BVI. So, and it's not just the BVI, but you have it across the Caribbean and so forth.
Yes.
A lot of the medication that the doctors send down here to the so-called, and I call here first world countries because the Caribbean actually eats healthier than them. You find that they send a lot of medication that has literally been banned in the US, banned in the UK, and banned in Canada. But these medications are being prescribed here to people. And I've seen many cases of that where I literally had to tell them, go immediately to your bathroom and flush this thing down the toilet. This is not supposed to be, this is not even supposed to be on a shelf here. Why aren't people arrested? Why isn't someone jailed for this? And you find these things being sold in drugstores. You find them being sold in so-called reputable pharmacies, which is not supposed to be. There are no regulations where persons are going through and realizing that the poisons that they're actually giving to people are actually the most toxic. And I mean, they're all toxic, but they're giving you the raw end of the poison to kill you. And so, unfortunately, a lot of persons go through these things and they suffer. And we have many people who have died from amputations where their feet start going bad, the circulation's not working anymore. None of these things are functioning. And again, these people are in doctors' hands every single week, every single month, every single year, and nothing is actually happening. Nothing is happening. I've seen persons, again, being treated right here with herbs, many of those I have seen. And these persons have gone from having an HbA1c of sometimes 12, 13, and has dropped down to a 6
Wow.
in less than a month and a half.
Wow.
In less than a month and a half. They've gone from a 12 down to a 6. And then there are persons that went from, oh, well, you're pre-diabetic, you're at a 6. And persons, I would just give them sometimes just one bottle of herbs. That person would come back to me with a 4.5 or a 5. And these are things that happen right here. Now, what would happen to these individuals if they did not know somewhere else to go outside of the doctor's office? That pre-diabetic person would have been treated 0% by the doctor. And they would tell you, oh, well, just monitor it, which is what I hear. The doctor just told me monitor it. And then you go back and they say, well, the number seems to be going up, so we have to give you medication that you're on for the rest of your life. On top of them with going on with that, every time they give you something to suppress the problem, instead of dealing with it and getting rid of it, your body now goes through a process where it then becomes dependent on that medication. So your body is losing its natural ability to heal itself. Whereas if you would have given it herbs, it would have utilized that to now do its work to fix itself. Because when you look at the DNA and even the molecules of plants, they perfectly match that of a human being. It matches it perfectly.
Wow.
When you look at those synthetic drugs, which are artificially formulated in a lab, which means there is nothing natural about them, these things are anti our bodies. So when they enter into our bodies, they come in a cloaking system to trick our bodies into suppressing a problem. When our bodies realize, hey, I'm being suppressed here and this is not, then that medication becomes invalid. So then you go back to the doctor and they tell you, well, it looks like the medication is no longer working. We have to up your dosage. So now you've gone from probably 5 milligrams to 30 milligrams, and then from 30 milligrams to 100 milligrams. And from 100 milligrams, you keep going up until the medication no longer works. And then you end up on things like dialysis, because now you've completely destroyed your kidney. Your liver is really getting a blow for, its money. And then on top of that, you have an imbalanced gut, which doesn't know how to process things anymore because everything now is haywire. The exact same way that the Almighty created a balance that actually keeps you focused and sane, your body, in terms of your digestive system and everything else, has a natural order and balance. Once that is thrown off, especially when you add things like dangerous chemicals from medication in there, you're literally killing yourself quite early.
Let me say this to our viewers, because when the day is done, I know you had a full day today, my beloved doctor.
Yes,
And
it was one of those days.
I realized that. I really wanted was to give you the feature this evening, so at least our viewers would expect you on. But I realized you didn't probably catch up until later on in the evening, and that's fine.
Right.
But what I will do as we go along is to open the lines to our viewers for whatever they're dealing with, because I'm sure you are quite an experienced woman in relation to most of the issues that any one of our people may experience. I tend to be very careful as I move forward, because when the day is done,
Right.
we know who you are, where you are, and what's going on. And of course, this is a very healthy discussion to begin. But
It
I
is.
think our people, we really need to take a very different approach to preserving health. I think we have lost ourselves. I lost myself as well. And I must say thanks to you. If it wasn't that I was connected by the great creator to someone like you, I probably would have been on dialysis now myself. It
God is
is
good.
it is it's not a joke. But
It is
you know,
good, but
it's a very
you
humbling
smile about it
feeling,
at the end of the day.
very humbling feeling. And you know, sometimes people hear me talk on this channel and people might wonder, why can it going on? But listen, until you realize the facts of what I'm saying, you won't realize what I'm saying to you.
Oh yeah, and most persons are not
You see?
really moved by these conversations until it actually hits home. Someone in their family or probably themselves are starting to go through that loop,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
realize, hey,
yeah,
I
yeah.
was listening to this and ignoring it, and now it's me in the loop. And how am I supposed to get help? And that's when persons, really want to cry out. But by then,
It's too
um,
late.
yeah, unfortunately for some
Yes.
people.
I will say tonight. Tonight is the night that I'm going to hammer this home. Don't allow yourself to end up in another pandemic, and then you wondering where to go because you eat yourself to death. Don't allow it to happen to you. I'm preaching that tonight, because when the day is done, the foods we are eating are poisons because of the preservatives and the chemicals that you take off the supermarket shelves and you pump it in your body over time.
Hmm.
It poisons your body. We
Hmm.
need to learn that food are not food. Food is not food again. Most of them lack nutrient. Most of them are just
No,
just just crap on the shelf. We
no.
need to take a different approach to health, and it begins with the food we eat, not in the doctor's office, because the doctors, when you go to see them when you have dead, they can't help you.
No, and there are a lot of persons now who are telling me, that they have brought their families to the hospital. Persons again who have been in the doctor's hands for a very long time, and the doctors would say, "There's nothing more I can do for you." And as soon as that was said to them, they did not do anything but pump individuals with morphine. Did a whole bunch of series of stuff. I've had other persons give nightmare stories of persons who were there. They overheard doctors actually talking, not knowing that they were there with their relative that they came to visit, that they had given the person a wrong dosage of something. And, one of the other doctors just went, oops, like, okay, it's quite scary. It's happening right here in the BVI, so persons have to be really, really careful that precaution is taken. If you take care of yourself properly, we can look forward to living as old as our great grandmothers and great grandfathers who, right now would be appalled that persons are dying in their 40s and 30s. And it's just amazing at the alarming rate that persons are now in younger ages getting diabetes. Before you
Yes,
would hear diabetes in a person who is on their way out. You
yes.
say, oh, well, something got to take them out. They're very old and their body can't process certain things. And, probably at 105 and 104, you will
Yes,
hear persons getting certain illnesses, or someone just go to sleep and not wake up. But
yes.
that's not the case anymore. And the cases are becoming one too many. As a
I agree.
herbalist, yeah, as a herbalist, I treated a good few people here, but over the last 2 years, actually, 2 to 3 years, the amount of persons that I'm seeing now is growing too rapidly, and the age group is getting too young.
Wow. Wow. But again, it goes back to our eating habit, to the
Oh, yeah,
to our consumption
it all
habits.
it all starts with what you eat.
Yes, it's all about what we eat, and that's all I'm saying tonight. I'm not. You see, as you rightly say, these conversations are not popular conversation. If you're talking about sex and woman and all of that, then yes, you probably would have 10,000 people. But you're talking about health, and people tend to take it lightly until, as you rightly say, you're slamming your head against the wall and you need help. We really need to stop and treat ourselves differently. My doctor, as we wrap up, my goodness, it's I can't believe the time does fly so fast here.
It
For
does.
people who are having health issues, and what I will do one evening, now that we probably make the connection,
Mhm.
I can promise my viewers to reconnect with my beloved doctor here, and maybe we can have an open session one evening in relation to what you might be dealing with. I'm not sure how far across
Yes.
the world some of you might be, but I think we're talking about food. We're talking about eating healthy. We're talking about making sure that you take care of yourselves. We're not putting down anybody or anything or anyone. That is not our
No, no, no. And at the end of the day, persons would say,
you see.
oh, well, you're bashing doctors. And I say doctors have their place in the world
You
because
see,
most of the persons who come to see me, I send them for a full blood work.
that's my
I
point.
make sure that they do a full CDC, and they do things like inflammation marker tests and stuff like that. So
Right,
by the time that they come to me, I can check things like uric acid. I can see where their body's at. I can see where their body's headed to. I can
right,
see what organs are under strain. I could tell how bad their diet is by just watching their blood work. And then I could structure certain things. And there was one individual who I didn't even have to give herbs. I just changed everything around in terms of how she ate. And she
right.
called me about 3 days later and said, I am doing amazing. I just didn't realize I had to change the way that I was eating.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, I can speak to that myself. Well, maybe it wasn't what I was eating. It was what I was not eating. And,
That
and
too.
listen, viewers, nothing is better than getting the real enzyme from real food. That's all I can say to you.
Oh, yes. And
Because
including fresh water.
fresh, yes,
A lot of persons are very skeptical about, catching rainwater and drinking it. I do that, and it's actually quite good. There are persons who say, okay, well, if it falls, how do I filter it? You can do things like charcoal, and these are things that can be taught to individuals how to filter their water using natural things
right,
that would actually add value to their life and do a lot of detoxifying of their liver and kidneys.
right. And I guess as we move forward, I'm finding out, as you rightly said, it's not even the old, it's the young nowadays, and there are so many
Oh
issues
yeah.
that are arising, especially these days.
Mhm.
All kind of unknown causes, which are leading to unknown causes of death.
Let's not leave out the fact that many persons, through genetic modification, which they actually fooled a lot of people, and got many injected out of fear,
Right,
that persons are no longer producing T cells, which is their body's natural immune system.
right,
Without that, the body creates a lot of things like mucus, which is very harmful to the body, things that the body would naturally be able to fight and break down.
to expel, yes,
It's
indeed,
not in its natural molecular structure or formation to deal with those things that it used to be for. So certain things that persons would eat before, or certain reactions their body would have to certain things. Right now, their body is way different. They get sick very easily. They catch colds very easily. They have illnesses they didn't have before. Um, I've had many persons who told me I've never been sick a day in my life, and now I'm always at the doctor's office. I'm on medication that I never thought I'd get here. Half of them would tell me that the doctor doesn't even know what the problem is. They're actually exploring options with different medications to see what would bring them some relief, or give them some sort of peace.
yes,
And again, by the time you check their blood work, you have to tell them, look, this is really not your issue. Your issue is something completely different. So let's take a much different approach. And most of these individuals who've been suffering with these things, some of them for years, some for months, you would see them actually having a drastic change within days. Because once your body receives the right things and it begins to heal itself as the Almighty designed it to,
right,
your body literally tries to change over things in hours, 24 hours. Your body begins to utilize what it needs to, because
right,
it's designed It's created by design to preserve itself.
Right. Wow. Wow, what can I say? And absolutely true. I'm very happy that you were able to at least make the time to pop in this evening, because we
You're welcome.
really needed to have your enhancement to this presentation. I think it is quite in order, and I think it is something we need to do maybe a whole lot more often as we continue to reach out to our brothers and sisters, not only in the BVI but across the Americas where we live. This is our land, this is our people, and we have to begin to reach out to our people.
We should.
I'm hoping that at some point, maybe I need to catch you by the tail when you're moving, because you really move too fast, like fast, and see if we can arrange a full presentation with you, structured arrangement. We look at exactly some of the
Okay.
areas we need to look at. We open the lines so people
Okay.
can call in, so we can address these issues, because it is something we need to do.
It is quite important, and I hope that we have a special section for, because again, most of the cases that I see now is a lot of diabetes, a lot of high blood pressure, and a lot of new cancer cases, which should not be. So it would be good to give information to persons, whoever has questions, whoever are going through present things, that they can get the attention that they need to kind of to turn their life around. No one wants to live in a way where they're always sick and always wondering if today is their last.
There you
It's
go.
not a healthy way to live.
There
It's
you
not
go.
living at all. It's just you're existing, but you're really not living. It's not a
That
way
is
to live
true.
at all.
That is true. Well, we have with us Dr. Sheehan Richards. Of course, she's is it naturopathic doctor? Is that the word for it?
Yes. Well, in short, you can just call me a herbalist.
She knows her craft. She's not a pushover, and she's a certified um, uh, 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 professional in her craft, and uh, I was very honored to meet her the other day. We caught up, and of course, trust me, I would like every single one of my people to meet this woman, because when the day is done, um, if the doctor cannot help you, then she can. And if you notice what I'm saying, if the doctor cannot help you, she can. Because we're not saying that the doctor does not have a place in your life. And I'm sure she's saying the absolute same thing. I think she's working very closely with many doctors here as well, to make sure that our people are taken care of. So it's a mutual relationship. And when the day is done, yes, uh, each has a place to make sure that you're healthy. You're not supposed to suffer. If you are having any issues, I'm going to put the email on the line. Please email us here at rawtruth@gmail.com. Send us your information. If you're within the BVI or wherever else you are, yes, email us your information. Tell us exactly what is happening. And of course, whatever we can do, I'll connect you to the doctor so she can advise you further. Make sure you go to the doctor, get your tests done, because everybody has to be a part of this. I'm not going to be like some idiots who talk crap. Kenny's not here for that. Yes? Each has a place. And when the day is done, you need to go and see your doctor. Make sure you see your doctor, get a test. Make sure you confirm what is wrong with you. And I'm sure from there, if your doctor can't help you any further, or whatever the case is, I'm sure we have a place that you can be assisted. As we close, my beloved sister, any final words to our viewers in the next 4 minutes?
My advice is plant, even if it's a tomato tree, even if it's a head of lettuce, and there's a great potential for the BVI to actually do a lot of planting. If each one plants, then each person could assist someone else with something else.
Yes.
There are different parts of Tortola and Virgin Gorda who can plant different things, and the soil here is very rich. It may not be as big as other countries, but it actually has the potential of growing almost every food that you find in other Caribbean islands.
I agree.
But persons cannot wait on the government. The government is not trying to plant food. Their job is to do whatever the system requires them to. And if that means that they're going to have you not plant food so the doctors could keep making money, so that way they can push different things like Big Pharma down your throat. They will keep doing that. You have to be in charge of your own self. Our people in the past did not wait on the government to feed them. They didn't wait for anything to come over. And from what I know about the BVI history, the BVI used to feed the USVI. So it's not something that is impossible. It's those persons who were proud of putting their hand in the earth and, rejoicing when their food would bring harvest. These persons have used to be here doing those things. A lot of them have passed away. And our generation now, a lot of us have that wisdom. Let us plant by our homes, as small as your plot of land is, plant. And if you plant, then the reward will be great.
Yes, indeed, and it is a very interesting matter that we need to examine in relation to planting our foods. Get some veggies going. Get some fresh vegetables going. Get some pak choy. Get some callaloo. Get some natural herbs. Plant them. Vegetables.
Oh yes.
Short term. Plant them.
Oh yes.
Yes.
And if they can, they can go over to Paraquita Bay. There's a young man up there by the abattoir. He sells sacks of cow manure, which is very, very great. You
Yes.
have another farmer. She's also a vet, which is a very, interesting something there. And she also believes highly in, planting what you eat and eating what you grow. And
Yes.
she has the dung from the chicken that is mixed with the sawdust in the chicken coop, which is actually great for also planting
Mhm.
vegetables and planting things like dashin and so forth.
There you go.
So you can get your natural manure right here. You don't need to go over by Clarence Thomas and these other places, because what they sell to you and call it growiner or things for your plants to grow are filled with so many different harmful chemicals that by the time persons like myself come to test the soil of your tomato, I won't want to buy it. So, get the fresh manure that, again, is going to enrich the earth, is going to give your fruits. And again, things like tomatoes, you're supposed to smell it before you bite it, and when you go to the supermarket, you find those placebos. It's like eating plastic.
When
So,
it says smell it, tell us.
yeah, tomatoes have this rich, beautiful aroma. It's almost like you can taste it before you've even bitten into it. And even while you are eating it, there is a certain certain connection with the taste buds in your mouth that is unmistakable, that you know that this thing is organic. Again, you go to the store, you buy tomatoes, and when you eat those things, there's absolutely nothing. Your body receives nothing. You're eating it, there's no reaction. I'm not sure if you have eaten a fresh tomato, and while you bite into that tomato, it almost makes you want to stop and kind of go
Electricity,
like,
man.
yes.
Uh-huh.
That is the connection of the raw enzymes of
There
the
you go.
earth that has fortified this plant, that has now been received into your body's system, and your neurological system also rejoices when it receives that. Your stomach, all of these things rejoices when it receives that, and it neutralizes every bit of that tomato. So again, get your cow dung, do what it is that you need to do. Someone said they had
Yeah,
soursop
had a
for breakfast.
soursop, man.
Oh my
Why
God.
you make my mouth run in water? You know, some more go on. Come on, see first. What kind of thing is that?
And for this gentleman who had the soursop this morning, I'm happy that you did, because in doing so, you are actually eating something that is a cancer preservative.
Yes, indeed.
Sorry, a cancer prevention fruit. And it's actually quite good for balancing a lot of the your stomach lining. For persons who have things like acid and raw stomach, it helps a lot with these. It also helps with things like your urinary tract. It also helps with issues of female issues of UTIs. So it has a lot of benefits, a lot of benefits. So having a
Wow.
soursop in the morning, you just ate life, my
Yeah,
brother.
life is right. That's it right there. Well, sure. I cussing now, not sure. My beloved sister, thank you so much for coming on, and of course, I feel honored that you did pop in.
Thank
to
you so
grace
much.
us
I'm
with your
humbled.
presence. And of course, we're looking forward to having you for a full presentation one evening. And whatever you do, please take care of yourself.
Thank you. I
And
will. Stay safe.
we will be in
Eat
touch.
good.
All right.
Eat
Yes.
fresh.
Yeah.
Eat life.
Yeah, man. You see it, life. You see, real thing. All the best, my beloved. All the best to you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
absolutely. You're
Okay,
welcome.
my dear. Good, good. That was Dr. Chian Richards, and of course, she popped in a little late, but goodness, I'm so honored that she did come, because when it is done, it means a lot to us to have people like her on the platform to share from a very professional point of view and an experience point of view exactly what is going on. Again, if you would like to send a question to Dr. Richards, please feel free to email me at rawtruthinfo@gmail.com. That's rawtruthinfo@gmail.com. And I'll be very happy to pass the message on to her or send the email over to her so she can address you directly. No need for you to hide away or be shy about this, because this is this is life right here. Yes, we can't afford to kill ourselves now. It's time to live as long as we can. The whole point is, some folks might want to see us dead, but there's a life. The earth is a life as long as we're connected to the earth. We eat from the earth. We connect to the earth. We breathe in the earth. Live the earth. You will remain here for a very long time. It's very, very simple. Yes, we have all we need in the earth. We just need to lock into it, absorb it, and live. Peace be unto all of us. Peace to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And to all my viewers, wherever you are, good. You're such a wonderful set of people. Such a beautiful set of people. Thank you for joining. And of course, I see you right there. Wherever you're from, please share. Make sure that you're connected to the platform. Subscribe, click the like button, and make sure that whenever we send out our notification, you'll be first to be updated. We will tell you when Dr. Richard is coming back, so at least you can plan. And for all of you who are having all the issues you may be having, trust me, nothing is final. As long as you're alive, there's hope. Don't be fooled. Yes, they will tell you that once you have what, you can't be healed. Crap, not go so. You have to be really far gone, that you can't be helped. But as long as you have an issue, and as long as there's life, there's hope. There's always help from someplace. The great Creator made it so, and I'm here to reinforce that position so you can be affirmed to get better, to get well, to live the best you. Yes? Peace. All the very best until we catch up next Monday evening, and please share. We will be undergoing some changes soon, maybe over into next month. I'm not sure exactly when to tell you yet, but we will be doing some transition here on PSI TV. You will know, you will be briefed as to what is happening. And of course, we will be expanding our range into other areas to facilitate other viewers across the world. So you keep it safe. Whatever happens, we will let you know. All the best. Keep it strong and safe. Until I see you next Monday. Take care of yourself.
Love of money is the root of all evil. Oh yeah. I don't know if I sell them birthright and I sell out the people now. Some of them are kill and maim and some are rob all the people. Oh yeah. But Jah not sleep and he man go check them out. Hey, it's failing. The system of the world is failing. Oh yeah.